Hey friends, welcome back to the Gubba Homestead. I'm Gubba and today I want to talk all about vacuum sealing. I have my vacuum sealer behind me and some additional attachments that I have, so I want to go through it, what foods you can store, what I think of my vacuum sealer, what I would recommend, how long foods can last, and more. Before we dive into it, as you may notice, my kitchen looks a little bit different than before. I have had a kitchen reconstruction going on for the past 2 months. It's still not done, but once it is, I will do a kitchen tour. I have gotten messages on social media asking, did I miss the kitchen tour? I see you in your kitchen, did I miss it? You didn't miss it. It's just not fully functional yet. So once it's done, we'll do a whole tour and I cannot wait to show you my new Homestead kitchen. Let's dive in to vacuum sealing. A vacuum sealer is a wonderful tool to get started on your food storage and also just use throughout your journey of food storage because of how easy it is to use. Things that I use my vacuum sealer for are storing produce in my fridge or even things like cheeses or meats. For example, if I get a package of bacon, I come and cook half the package. I will then take the rest of the bacon, put it in a vacuum seal bag, vacuum seal it, and then put it in the fridge and use it within a week or two. I will also do that with cheeses. I will vacuum seal my cheeses between use, and I have noticed this has helped the shelf life of cheeses in my fridge. Another thing to vacuum seal is produce that you get from the store. So for example, you get strawberries and they come in the little plastic cartons. Those are not gonna last long at all. Moisture gets in there, it has the little holes on the bottom. What you wanna do is wash those strawberries immediately when you get home, put them in a jar, vacuum seal the top. They are going to last way longer, as in like weeks longer. I would have strawberries or fruit that I would buy in those little plastic containers go bad within days. Doing that method of vacuum sealing and putting in a jar after I wash them, they last for 1 to 2 weeks after doing that. So that is significant. So when you are utilizing a simple tool like this, you can see that it helps you save money because you have less food waste. You're saving your time because you're having to make less trips to the store. And a vacuum sealer is so easy to use. Here is an example of how I use vacuum sealing in my freezer. Everything that I like to put into my freezer, if I can, I will vacuum seal it. One, this creates space in your freezer. So imagine if I didn't have this vacuum sealed, it'd be a big lunky bag. The food would get the ice particles, the frostbite, the freezer frost, whatever that's called, a lot faster than if there's no oxygen in here, moisture isn't allowed to get in here. And I love doing this because it helps you organize your freezer space. So this is what it looks like when you vacuum seal food for your freezer. Creates space and eliminates the freezer frost. I'm saying freezer frost, but I'm like, what is that? What is that word called where frostbite, like where your food gets frostbitten? Anyways, you know what I mean when you go and there's a ton of ice on your food and it's not great, it deteriorates the food, the ice crystals get in there, break down the structure, whatever that's called. Freezer bite on your food. This model of vacuum sealer is the Food Saver VS3180. I got this from Costco about 2 years ago now. I do love it because it gets the job done. One thing that I have noticed is over time as I have been using this, I now have to press down on the machine as it is vacuum sealing fruit or whatever in a bag to get a clear seal to help it speed up the process. I will show you some things. We're gonna vacuum seal some different things so you can see what I'm talking about, but it has been a great machine. Last time I went to Costco, they didn't have this same version, but it is still available on Amazon. I think I saw it for right around $100. It's great because it's easy to compact and store. It doesn't make a mess and it does everything that I needed to do plus more. At Costco, where I got my vacuum sealer, they also sell these Food Saver value combo packs. You can also get these on Amazon. I wanted to open one of these so you can see what comes inside and what you can use with your vacuum sealer. Of course, there are going to be some super fancy vacuum sealers that I don't even have, you know, all the fancy stuff that comes, you know, could be possible to come with it. But in my opinion, this is everything you need and more. So in here, there are 2 sizes of the vacuum seal bags. This is the normal size and the smaller size. The larger one is 11 inch and the smaller one is 8 inch. I love having the variety because say you're going camping and you just want some trail mix snacks that you want to put together. Using this smaller roll would be great. Whereas something big like this, you saw the berries that I pulled out of the freezer. If you have a large bounty or produce from your garden or wherever, using these big bags can come in handy. There are also these pre-cut bags that are just for pure convenience. With these rolls right here, you have to heat seal the top and the bottom. With these, it just saves you the convenience of not having to heat seal one of the sides. So it is nice if you enjoy convenience, and don't we all, but just getting simple rolls like this will suffice. This is a great time to point out the difference between Mylar bags and vacuum sealed bags. You can see the difference. This is a thicker bag. One thing that is great about Mylar is light is not going to penetrate through here. Light will penetrate through your vacuum sealed bags, and light will deteriorate your food storage over time. I use Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers for long-term storage. You can use your vacuum sealed bags plus oxygen absorbers for longer term food storage, but I would not feel comfortable storing something for 30 plus years in a vacuum sealed bag versus I would feel comfortable storing freeze-dried scrambled eggs for 30 years in a Mylar bag with oxygen absorbers. Because light does deteriorate your food over time, that will make it questionable for long-term food storage in your vacuum sealed bag. But if you're storing it in a dark pantry, I think it'd be okay for a while. I just personally wouldn't feel comfortable doing 30 plus years. Another thing to keep in mind, neither of these are pest proof. If you have mice or other pests, they will be able to chew through both of these. Speaking from experience here, although the Mylar is more thick, the mice, the rats, whatever, can chew through here. If you are using oxygen absorbers with Mylar or in jars or with your vacuum sealer, you need to re-vacuum seal your oxygen absorbers like I have here. So I opened up a package, I used some with some stuff I was putting into long-term food storage, probably freeze-dried mashed potatoes, that was the last thing I did. You do not want to leave your oxygen absorbers exposed to oxygen, so your vacuum sealer comes in handy. You just put them in a bag. This is the 8 inch, and then you just vacuum seal the bag, and you can keep these and then open and reuse and repackage as necessary. So your vacuum sealer comes in handy for more things than just food. Other attachments that most likely will not come with your vacuum sealer and have to be got separately are these jar lid attachments. I 100% would recommend getting these. There are even miniature vacuum sealers that are jar only that seem pretty cool. Ensure that you have a vacuum sealer that has the proper attachment that you can use these with. In this case, I have a handheld portion on my vacuum sealer that I attach to my lid attachments. What these come in handy with is if you want to vacuum seal things in jars. Right here, I have freeze-dried green beans that I snack on, but when I freeze dry things, and I'm not going to snack on them immediately, but maybe in the next month or two, I will simply vacuum seal them instead of putting them in a Mylar bag with oxygen absorbers, and I will save those for other foods that I want for long-term storage. So think of your vacuum sealer as like a mid-term, more short-term food storage item and tool, and all you have to do is put the food into the jar that you want to vacuum seal. If it is going to be powders like flours, salts, spices, you can put a coffee filter over the top of them or paper towels to ensure that the powder doesn't fly up into your vacuum sealer. I haven't had a problem with that, but those are some suggestions. Now, I want to show you how to use the vacuum sealer. Let me show you how easy it is to vacuum seal food in a jar. Again, this is what I will do if I have produce in the fridge. Wash that produce off, put it in a jar, vacuum seal it if I want to enjoy it next week, or vacuum seal it in between snacking because it extends shelf life, just trust me. How neat is that? You can just store food with your vacuum sealer in jars. You can see what's in here. I know what's in here. It helps me keep track of my inventory. One thing is you will want to check these lids from time to time because they will pop off more easily than say if you canned. some people will say not to store with the rings on. When I vacuum seal, I store with the rings on because I've found that it helps keep the seal. When I can, I do not store with the rings on. That is up to your preference, but that is how I do it in my food storage and how I have found what works. I have also seen people who will put oxygen absorbers into their vacuum sealed jars, and yes, that will help extend the shelf life. I don't use my oxygen absorbers in here because if the lid does happen to pop off, then it's pretty much just a waste of an oxygen absorber. Again, that is up to you, and as you use these different food preservation methods, you will see what works, how your food storage rotates, and how you like to store food. On my vacuum sealer, it has a few different settings. So it has dry, moist, pulse, and sous vide. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I've never used it, but what sous vide is, it's a method of cooking where you vacuum seal like some seasoned chicken and then you put it into a bath of boiling water and cook it that way. I haven't used that. I personally wouldn't want to cook things in the vacuum sealed bags, but it does give me that option. With Pulse, it gives me the ability to have manual control on my vacuum sealing. You saw when I pressed the button for the jar, it just went, I didn't have to do anything. Whereas Pulse, I can press and hold the button and adjust to how much oxygen I want in there. Say I want some oxygen left in the bag. That is what I would use that setting for. Moist is if I have some berries that are runny, they're not frozen, then I would do moist and the machine will account for that. Dry is if I have dried goods. If I'm doing cheese, something that is not going to have moisture, that can have a seal issue, because in here where you have your heat seal, if anything gets in the way, something moist or flour, it will inhibit that seal and then you have to redo the whole bag. So just keep that in mind. So although this vacuum sealer is basic, it does everything. I feel like everything you could need, plus more, especially when you have these lid attachments. I feel like the lid will help you build your food storage, because then if you have dried goods like rice, beans, sugar, all kinds of seasonings, you can store them in jars with this lid attachment. One thing that I would like to warn you about, this attachment right here does have a purpose aside from being able to be used with the lid attachments. When I first got my vacuum sealer, it came with bags that looked like this. I don't have any anymore because I didn't like them, but they had a special attachment right here. It wasn't really an attachment, it was just how the bag was built, where you would press this onto it and it would seal the bag. It would vacuum seal the bag. You'd put your food in the top, you would almost zip lock it across, and then you would stamp this on here on the little insert almost, and then it would vacuum seal. I did not have great luck with those. I vacuum sealed a lot of things. I used all those bags and almost every single one of them got air back into them. I think that little part of the bag that is used for that handheld portion, just maybe the technology isn't up there yet. Maybe my machine's not nice enough. I don't really know. So if you get your vacuum sealer and it has the handheld bags, just use these bags instead. I promise you it will save you a world of headache and time. These are where you are going to heat seal the top and bottom. You're going to be manually doing the vacuum sealing. You won't be using the handheld portion. I only use the handheld portion when I am vacuum sealing food in my jars, and that has worked great. I had redone my entire freezer with the handheld portion bags, and it was such a nightmare because every single one of them I kept having to re-vacuum seal because oxygen kept getting in, and that's a waste of my time, and then that causes the freezer burn. I think it's freezer burn, okay. I would just suggest exploring the different options that your vacuum sealer has. I, again, am going to tell you, I don't think you need a fancy vacuum sealer. There's so many vacuum sealers with bells and whistles, unless you love to cook with vacuum sealing and do the sous vide and the marinating, because there is a marinating option on the handheld portion, but that is up to you and your needs. Because mine is for food storage only, I don't do any cooking with freeze-dried foods, you know, where you marinate them in the bag or anything. I just am storing food. This vacuum sealer is perfect. The lid attachments They're perfect. I don't need one of those special jar vacuum sealers where it only does the jars because I already have this, and this allows me to vacuum seal any bags that are going into my freezer, especially when in the summer the garden is putting out a lot of produce and I need to get it canned up, preserved up. If I have extra, then it goes into the freezer. This is perfect, and I would recommend a vacuum sealer to anybody who wants to build a food storage. How long are goods going to last vacuum sealed? That is going to depend on the food and how it's stored. So say you have strawberries fresh from the store, it will help extend the shelf life by a few weeks. In my experience, if you're storing them in the fridge properly in a jar, it is going to help extend the cheese life by a few weeks to a few months if you are storing them properly in a vacuum sealed bag. But if you are storing something like freeze-dried goods, their shelf life is already going to be a long time because there's no moisture in them. Moisture will ruin your food storage. So if moisture somehow got into here, that is going to take the shelf life down. Light is going to ruin your food storage. So if I just had these out on my counter every day in the light, that will deteriorate it. I would be able to notice by their integrity in taste. The taste would dissipate over time. If you are vacuum sealing goods like flours and spices, that can help extend the shelf life from a few months to a few years. For something like flour, I was told that over time the quality will go down in storage. I have been using vacuum sealed flour to bake. What I did was I vacuum sealed proper proportions based on recipes that I commonly cook or bake. And in my experience, if you are storing a higher quality flour, I haven't noticed any difference. And I used some year-old vacuum sealed flour to bake cookies. They looked beautiful. They tasted great. So it is going to depend on the food you're storing and how you are storing it. Again, you just want to check, make sure that no air has gotten in, no moisture or any pests, because those are the things that will determine how long your foods can last vacuum sealed. I hope this video was helpful for you to look at a vacuum sealer to see if it's right for you. I 100% would recommend a vacuum sealer. It's such an easy tool to use, especially if you are building a food storage. I feel like it's incredibly valuable. I use it all of the time. It goes hand in hand with my freeze dryer. If you are interested in building a food storage, I have a food storage course and a Homestead Prepper's Guide to Food Storage that can help you keep track and rotate and organize your food storage, all important aspects. And I appreciate you so much for joining me in my homestead kitchen today. Don't do anything Gubba wouldn't do, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!